recording. Alright, so how this is going to go first, I'm going to do all the free-to-play classes first. I'm going to tackle them, and then I'm going to do the not free-to-play classes. I think it's only fair that, and I don't have to mirror the world. That. Alright, so we'll go alphabetically, class by class. So we'll start with Barbarian, we'll end on Wizard. So I'm going to give Barbarian an A. It's a very straightforward class. It is free to play. There are no complicated mechanics. Rage is very easy to understand and very easy to use. There's no cast time, there's no channel. For what it has, for what its HP, what you can do with it, for me, it's very worth it. I'm going to put Bard in front of Barbarian. And I'm going to leave Bard in the A class. I would put it to S, but Bard is very squishy. Doesn't get good armor. Doesn't get shields. And in generalization, its utility is great. But that's about it. Its utility in spellcasting is good. But well, I say its utility in spellcasting. We're gonna get into like subclasses as well. The Bardic Rage tree. I forget its name. I am a big dum-dum. 1 moment. I am a dense fox. 1 moment. Warchanter. It's nice. It does add a lot more utility to, a lot more survivability to you, as it gives you the ability to wear armor without any problems against your arcane failure and whatnot. But in all honesty, the Bard is above Barbarian in A for all intents and purposes. Next one is Cleric. I'm going to put Cleric in S, solely for the fact that it does actually have some of the best healing in the game. You get healing as a free spell slot, guaranteed, which means that you are down one more spell slot than usual, but you do have your domains. You also have the ability to turn, and your domains have unique effects connected to them. That would put Cleric a lot higher. I'm going to put Fighter in B. Not because it's a bad class, but by itself, fighters can easily get clapped in, but they do have a lot more variety to them. You have a lot of playstyles available to you. You have a lot of, well, weapons, armor, shield. You have a lot more flexibility to what you can do with a fighter. Paladin, I'm going to put an A behind Barbarian. Barbarian is nice. They do get turns. They do get their lay on hands and their smites, but they're more of they're fighter with extra steps, but without some of the extra things fighters do get. They don't get as many feats, but they do get a lot more saves. They do get a lot more versatility because of their ability to gain turns at level 4 as well as turns at level 3 with their immunity to disease and fear and whatnot. It does give them a lot higher up on the class. I'm gonna put Ranger at B in front of Fighter, but more of the fact that Ranger does have a bit more kind of a niche flexibility in a sense. Their ability to cast spells at level 4 is nice, so they really only have 2 set playstyles. They suggested from the gate is either go bow or go 2 weapon, as both of those get readily available to you.
It's probably one of the few classes that has a lot of free feats attached to it, related to the archery side of things and then the two weapon side of things. But about the short and end of it, that's where I'm gonna leave Ranger. Rogue, I'm gonna put just behind Bard. I'm not gonna put Rogue in S tier because rogues are very, very squishy. In the sense that they don't have a lot of HP. Yes, they have a lot of uh, sneak damage and ability to debilitate enemies and instant kill stuff. But if we're looking this at a first lifer, someone who's brand new to DDO, I'm gonna put Rogue at A. But that's kind of like a base A where Rogue is at the moment. Bard is like A plus at the moment, and Paladin's like an A minus. Wizard, I'm gonna put in B behind Fighter. Come on, there you go. Wizard is, to me, a simpler spellcasting class, but you have no HP to play with. Yes, you could go EK. Yes, you could go into hit. But there's a high chance that a newer player is not going to go into hit. They're probably just going to go in strength and then con as their third step. There is benefits towards wizard. There are CC wizards. There's mass variety when it comes down to your spells and what schools you focus into. But for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna leave wizard at B minus basically. It's good, but you need a lot of things to make it good. I am probably gonna add a little bit controversy where I'm gonna put sorcerer. A lot of people will probably think put sorcerer in S because of all its damage, but I'm actually gonna put sorcerer in C solely for the fact that sorcerer is a very niche play style. You have to focus into your savant tree, which means that you have to forego the other the opposite spellcasting via cold, uh, acid, electricity, so on and so forth. If you go acid, you can't have electricity, and electricity, Air Savant has some of probably the better point and click spells. Well, because most of the spells in Sorcerer for lightning and sense is just, well, aim, and it's just a straight line, or aim, and it jumps around like lightning, chain lightning. So that's going to be the basic classes. I'm just going to add the other class, the pay to win classes on the end of them, and there are a few easier classes that are very controversial in the sense that you can solo with certain classes that are pay to play. We'll start with Alchemist, and I'm gonna put Alchemist also in C because of its complexity. I'm gonna put it behind Sorcerer. Yes, Alchemist has some of the more special spells, like turning enemies to gold, dismissing enemies, and not just a click and only one being dismissed, but an AoE. It also has its complexity from its alchemical reagents. You need to know how the chemical reagents goes into the spells, how to get back to certain reagent colors via spells. If you don't know how to do it, then you're going to find yourself very confused and probably deleting that character. Artificer, I'm going to put just behind Barbarian. It's practically Rogue 2.0 in a sense. It does have a lot of rogue disabling, does have a lot of rogue-ish things, but the main thing that Artificers end up doing, throwing pots, either beneficial in the sense or harmful, picking a crossbow, because no one does melee Artificer, period, and the rune arm. The rune arm is a little confusing. You have to stand still in your earlier levels to charge your rune arm. I believe there is no feats that allow you to move with your rune arm out. That being said, Artificer does have a lot more HP, and it does have a lot more tankiness in general, because you can go Warforged with your current race, which means that you do get docents, you do get the DR for being a Warforged with certain docent types. If you go with the Mithril docents, you get DR. If you not Mithril, the other one, the heavy docents, you get DR. Go Mithril, you practically have the equivalent of light armor, which means you want to max out dexterity, want to more focus into the crossbow aspects of it.
And yeah, I'm gonna put Druid just behind Bard.
More in the fact that Druid has a lot more flexibility in its play style. It probably has one of the more friendly cast and forget healing styles of the regenerations. And then, of course, it does have the superior spellcasting and its own spellcasting in a sense where it gets its own unique pull and no other class can touch it. And in a sense, Ranger does get some of the Druid class spells, but Druid gets casting level 1, you get your Wolf Pit, and then you get your choice between picking a season, going Wolf, or going Bear. And then it comes down to playstyles. The season's a caster, the Wolf is DPS, the Bear is tank, and then you have to have the right items again, which kind of procs
The whole this is a first lifer. This is someone who has 28 points, possibly no post-game D&D knowledge as well. Monk, I am going to set behind Fighter and B solely because of its center. Once you lose your center, you lose key. Once you lose key, it is very hard to do any of your Monk fighting styles. And of course, the bonus fighting stuff for Monk as well. You have to use either hand wraps, quarterstaves, short swords, or daggers. But to get short swords and daggers, you have to be centered. And I don't know enough about Monk in general for me to say anything positive about it. But at the same time, I know that staying centered is a pain. You can't wear armor. You have to wear. You can't even wear light armor like chain. You have to wear clothing, basically. But the upside is you're a DC god. You can practically trip nearly everyone. A lot of the Monk moves, if I remember correctly watching Sojic, just attack on effects or end up tripping. And then, of course, you got your fighting style, which is kind of like the forms for Druid in a sense, that you've got water, air, earth, fire, and then you get bonuses from that as well. This is why I put Monk behind Fighter. Favorite Soul is simple, but at the same time, it does have its own complexity to it. You have to understand that you can either go Charisma or Wisdom to your spellcasting, and then of course towards your your god's weapons as well, which is why I'm going to put Favored Soul just behind Artificer, just in front of Paladin. To me, uh, Favored Soul is a better Paladin, but it's not a Paladin. It's this mangled mesh of caster, sorcerer, good SP pool, gets good HP, but you're skimp for choice when it comes to your casting. You do get other bonuses like your energy resistance, your stout, or if you're going to go the SP route, then you pick what you want for your casting. Do you want wisdom? Do you want charisma? And you have to pick accordingly. If you go charisma, for example, then you have to pick force of personality to get your charisma into your will saves, and then it's min-maxing on what you want to do. If you want to be more of a melee because of how Dark Fey Illusionist works, falconry. If you want to go more of a caster, which most people end up doing, or if you want to do healer, which what a lot of people end up doing. Favored Soul has a lot of flexibility like Druid in that sense, but it comes down to how you want to play it. Warlock is probably one of the probably one of the few classes in the entirety of DDO that you could solo with. It is a legitimate solo class because of one thing alone. DPS. From level 1, you are out DPSing every other class. However, your skimp for your spells, you do have Warlock spell, Sorcerer spell slots. You do have a lot of SP to play with. But if you don't know that you have magic training, that your SP doesn't recover, and you don't set it every shrine you get, you're going to find yourself dry and just using Eldritch Blast. The other fact, you're squishy. So squishy. But it comes down to I use Cone, I use Chain, I use Aura. Then, of course, those three choices being, oh, okay, I'm doing Chain. I have a really early easy game, but when it comes down to late game, I don't have damage. I do Cone. I have really, really good bursty early damage that lasts until mid game. I go Aura. I don't have damage, but I do a burst around me. I can just run up there and do damage. Warlock does have a lot of flexibility, and people are probably going to massively disagree and say, no, it's an S tier class, but because of its complexity, worse than Sorcerer, I'm actually going to put it in D. That the fact it's not a free to play class as well. But that's going to be my DDO class tier list for now. I'm going to leave that there. And what I might do next time when I do another tier list is I'm going to do the enhancement trees for each class. But that's what I view the DDO class tier list. It's as it is now. You have a lot of good things that do averagely, then you have a small group where you need the right things to make it work, and then you have the one thing that does very well base because everyone knows how to play Cleric, even people who don't know how to play Cleric know Wisdom is their casting stat, and the free healing spells that you get puts it to where it is. Warlock, I'm going to leave where it is. I'm going to leave it in D. D, not for the fact that it's bad. D for the fact that Warlock has a very specific play style, which is solo. Because if you play in a group, you're going to be killing everything. Which, in this case, kind of sucks the fun out of it for other people. But, I'm going to save that as it is. This is my tier list. Going to be vastly different from everybody else. I'm very sure other people are going to have their tier list in different locations, different classes, and different places. But this is how I view the classes at right now. Bard would be an S plus if it had a bit more tankiness. Same with Rogue. Rogue had a D8 HP instead of D6. But for all intents and purposes, this is my tier list. This is just how it's going to be until things change. If classes change, they might go up. But this is how it's going to be. Again, Warlock being in D. Not it's bad, it's more the play style. That's what I'm going to leave the stream off with, leave the recording off with. That's just how it's going to be. I do appreciate it, everyone popping by. I do hope you all have an awesome day tonight. I hope it to be. I'm going to leave this here for now. I do hope to see you all in the near future. Me and Yog will most likely be on tomorrow with Neverwinter Nights, continuing our very interesting endless dungeon. So I do hope to see you all for there. Until later. Later. Bye bye.